Thank you.
We'll go to our second guest speakers with an S. Oh, I see some there. So we'll go to the members of the Epitopes World team, which is a team of bioinformaticians. Some of them are UDM alumni, so we're very pleased to have them with us tonight. They're using machine learning approach to help find a vaccine against COVID-19. So it's our pleasure to have with us tonight Tariq, Maud, Olivier, Antoine, Albert, Logan, and Walter. So the floor is yours, guys.
And Jörg. You forgot Jörg.
Hi, Jörg.
Hi, Caroline. How are you doing?
Oh, je deviens rouge là.
Like, this is nice to see you. Hi, Caroline. Barbara also. Hello. So thank you guys for inviting me. So first, before we start, so thank you for inviting the team. This has been since the pandemic, the beginning of the pandemic, this has been my default background. A lot of books, but in honor of Josh and StatQuest, I've changed it. So now it's musical instruments behind me. And and I do have a surprise for Josh at the end. It's Barbara's idea. I have to give credit when it's due. It's not my idea, it's Barbara's, but I have something for Josh at the end. Okay, so let's get started. We started this project. It's really a project to leverage artificial intelligence to basically help speed up the discovery of a COVID-19 vaccine. So we started the project, and when we started the project, we already had the AI, which is something that's very interesting. In that case, is that this AI has been developed at the IRIC. Barbara and Caroline knows this place very well. So the Institute for Research in Immunology and Cancer, that's affiliated to the University of Montreal, where I did my PhD. And this artificial neural network called CAMAP was already there. And what CAMAP does is, if you imagine that there's a virus here that infects a cell, this virus gets inside the cell and then forces the cell to start producing its proteins. So the cell is now producing proteins from the virus. And some of the little parts of these proteins will actually be presented at the surface of the cell. And these are very interesting because these little parts that we call epitopes are actually what the immune system uses to recognize a cell that has been infected by a virus. So we have this neural network, and what CAMAP does is that CAMAP is able to predict, if you give it the mRNA sequences or the DNA, in this case it doesn't make any difference, CAMAP is capable of telling you which sequences are more likely to be presented to the surface of the cell. So we already had that. And what's really nice about this is that if you know which epitopes represented, then you can use them to make a vaccine to train your immune system to recognize cells that have been infected by the virus. So the whole idea of the project is to take this artificial intelligence, this neural network that has already been developed, and package it into a web portal that people can use, so people can have access to these predictions and use them if they want to discover a vaccine against COVID-19. So the link to the website is really epitopes.world. So we've discovered that actually we could. It's not just .com and .co, etc. You can also have a .word, and it felt fitting for that occasion. And what's really nice is that we thanks to the work put out by the whole team and the sponsors and everything, we were able to get a lot of traction. So in the first 24 hours, a lot of good things happened. So we've been featured in very important publications like VentureBeat and Business Insider. We had more than 30 news articles written about us. We had a lot of visitors, a lot of unique requesters. We on the first 24 hours, we almost served 1.4 gigabytes of text, which is really a lot of predictions. So we were really happy about the outcome, and we did not expect that people would embrace the project so much. So we're really thankful to everybody. So this presentation will be more like a practical presentation on how we basically bootstrapped everything. And so it's more like the abstract concepts and how you can leverage them if you want to start something similar. So the first thing that we did is what I like to call like a confidence test. So this is a test that you do at the beginning that can invalidate the hypothesis very fast. So if it doesn't work, then you're probably better doing something else. So in that case, we did a very simple test. We just took SARS-CoV-1, which is the virus behind SARS, and SARS-CoV-2, which is the virus behind the COVID, the very similar viruses, and then we ran them through CAMAP to see what the prediction looks like. And what we're really looking for is if we have this, like something that looks very random, then it probably means that if there's something, it will be hard to find. But fortunately, we had something like this, which is in our case the best case scenario. So it's not random. So if you dig a little bit, you're pretty much guaranteed to find something interesting. But the other thing is it's skewed in this region and that region, which means that if it works, we can have a lot of epitopes, not just like in this case we already have 3 or 4. So what the thing that's important about this step is that it's not the research. It's not something that we convince anyone that's doing research. It's something that you do very quickly at the beginning to see if there's a good chance that your project will succeed or not. Then you need to define the needs. So in our case, we had two different axes. We had the research, that's writing the paper and doing the experimentation, but you also needed to make that portal, and that portal is defined into 3 different categories. So you have the back end, the front end, and the infrastructure. And now that you have the need that you have the needs for your website mapped, you can start looking for a team. And what's really important here is that you're not just looking for a team, you're looking for the team. So you really, there should be people that you really appreciate working with. So people that you really enjoy being around, people that you enjoy working with, people that are very competent, obviously. And you're also looking for creating some kind of redundancy. So you don't want one person to be 100% doing one single thing, because that person can leave the project. We all have very complicated lives, so you need some type of redundancy. And the best way to create it is to create sub teams. So a team of 2 minimum, for example, for the front end. Then something that's very important, you need the funds to make your project happen. And in that case, the whole idea was to move as fast as possible, because COVID was happening. We needed to get these results fast so people can use them fast. And in that case, it's really a sprint. So what you're really after is the minimum funds that you need to get your project going. So from the beginning, we decided we're all going to be volunteers, so there's no salary there, which is a big plus. So it's really helps a lot that you don't have to pay anybody. But what we really needed is we needed a database. So this database was gratuitously, very generously provided to us by DB, who makes a great solution for databases. Then we needed something to host our project, actually, and that we chosen DigitalOcean for that. So the backend, some of the backend, because not all the backend is hosted in DigitalOcean, and then we have something to communicate, and we chosen Slack for that. So we just reached out to these companies, and they generously offered us to like free stuff to help us, free hosting, free communication with Slack. So this is basically the minimum thing that we needed to get started. And then a very important thing is the choice of technology. So here you're looking for, there's so many different technologies that you can use, and it can be overwhelming to choose which one you're going to use to make your project, so your project can achieve so you can achieve the results that you want to. And these are the most important points. It has to be fast. So you don't want to use a technology that's that's slow. You want something that can deliver. So fast, it has to be simple because in that case, you don't want to do everything in 1 month. You want to do a sprint, so you don't want to spend the whole time reading documentation. And it has to be very, very fiable. Very reliable. It has to be very reliable because no one's something that breaks on your hand. And one important thing is to not go for what's popular. Go for what works for you. So in our case, we decided to forego Amazon at AWS and go for DigitalOcean because DigitalOcean is so much more user-friendly. And in our case, that makes a lot of sense. Next thing is to think of the future. So if you want your project to grow, you have to choose technologies that actually are future-proof. So in that case, instead of using a lot of databases, for example, Postgres, Redis, Neo4j, because you never know what can happen, we decided to go with ArangoDB that has everything built in. So it's a multimodal database. You can use it as a key value database. You can use it as a graph database. You can use it as a document database. It's all up to you. And that's why we've chosen this technology. And of course, a very important thing is to discuss that with the team because you want to choose technologies that your team has a mastery over. You don't want to spend time learning new technologies. So it's kind of you have to find the sweet spot between what works for the projects and what your team already knows. Then this is a point that I like very much. It's avoid meetings as much as possible. So the thing is, we are all very busy, especially in that case because it's a side project for everybody. We all have different work schedules. We all have other things to do. So we are all very, very busy. And the thing is that if you take 1 hour meeting with 8 people, which is what our team is, then if you have one meeting that's not productive, you just wasted 8 hours of work. And in the case when you're working part-time on the project, that makes a huge difference. So for that, so to replace meeting, I suggest using technologies like Slack or Basecamp. I really love Basecamp. It's we use Slack in that case, but I have a slight preference for Basecamp, and that gives you also better traceability, more flexibility, and allows you to work on a schedule that's very, very much more flexible. And another thing that's important is that you need to have some periodicity in your meetings. So we're still meeting 1 hour every week, basically on the same date. Every Tuesday at 7:30, we still meet. And so that's also a very important point. You need to have some regularity in your meetings while having the minimum of meetings involved. So this is the whole thing that we've built very, very quickly. So you can see it's a pretty complex architecture with the front end, the back end, we have the infrastructure here with the deployment, Cloudflare that does caching, ArangoDB here that stores all the prediction from the network. We have DigitalOcean here where the Python code that actually querying ArangoDB resides. Our backend is written in Python. Our frontend is written in JavaScript. And so I'm not going to go deeply into these matters, but if you have any questions about the technicalities, please feel free to ask any member of the team that has worked on this thing. So yeah, and the nice thing with this is that it allows us to really have like a high availability. So ArangoDB here, the database is hosted on a cloud service provided by ArangoDB called Arango Oasis. That works very well. And Jörg is the head of machine learning and engineering of ArangoDB, and he probably can talk to you more about this aspect. But you also have Cloudflare here that does some caching. So actually, if a request is asked often by the user, it never goes past Cloudflare. It's cached by Cloudflare, and Cloudflare sends the answer. So this has obvious advantages. The first one is that it's very fast, and the second one is that we don't even have to use the credits that DigitalOcean provided us, all called the ArangoDB database for these requests that people make often. Yeah. So that's it for the presentation. So thank you very much for inviting us. So this is the panorama of the whole team. So for the website, the backend, the front end, the infrastructure, for the research side. So thanks a lot, and very happy to take your questions if you have any. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have time for a few questions. Is there anyone? I don't see anyone.
It's not so much a question. I would just like to add one thing about the team. You had this very nice slide about how to assemble a team. And one thing I really enjoyed from this team was like diversity. If you have people from different backgrounds, it first of all means you can learn a lot. And actually you also collaborate much better because different people have different backgrounds, different perspectives.
Yes, true. What are you guys' backgrounds? Could you, the different members of the teams, everyone is there. Can you just give us like what you studied?
I can start. My background is basically distributed database systems. So I did my PhD in research in distributed database systems.
Yeah, I come from an academic background at the beginning, like many years ago, in computer science. And then I did a jump to private companies. I co-founded Biogenic for a genetic laboratory. And then a few months ago, I founded Explore AI. And so I have this peculiar background that's a little bit different with the private company side. And I worked mostly with Antoine on infrastructure and a little bit on the front end.
So thank you, thank you, Olivier and Jörg. I can go out and present everyone else if you'd like to.
I can jump in as Olivier just mentioned.
Okay, cool. Thank you, because I'm going to communicate the setup. I have two computers at the same time.
That's fine. So I was first, I arrived in Montreal to do a PhD. So after 9 months of PhD in bioinformatics, I quit and I went to a startup to do business analytics. And especially in the big data ecosystem, everything that's distributed also. And I moved slowly to the back end of this. So I became a big data developer, and now also all that's related to infrastructure and automation of that piqued my curiosity. So I have quite a bit of a wide background, and I'm a big data developer at Ubisoft right now.
We can go next. So I did my master's at IRIC, and right now I worked at the bioinformatics platform in IRIC. So we got a lot of publicity as being alumni from IRIC, whereas I'm technically the only one still working at IRIC. Amazing institute. So what the biggest, I think, advantage I had was that I had already been working on this project for the best part of 2 years. I was working on CAMAP before it was even called CAMAP. And so it was just nice that we were in contact with TAG and everything, and that sort of got it all working smoothly.
Logan?
Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Logan. I've been working on the front end of the project. So for the background, actually, I have like a master's degree in biology, like molecular and cellular biology, more precisely. I do also have like I don't know say that in English, but DESS in bioinformatics. So it's a second cycle like level like diploma as well. And after that, actually, like actually at the same time, I ended up like doing an internship at IRIC, where I did like actually meet Tarek, who learned me how to code, and since that day I never stopped. And basically during the internship, I started to learn to do web development. So after actually finishing like doing my my study in bioinformatics, I started to work in web development. I ended up taking a job in a cinema studio actually to make a website for them, and I did stay to make movies. so becoming like a pipeline TD over there. And 2 weeks ago, I changed again like the thing I was doing, and now I'm doing like actually like visual effects for the same company in Montreal, Cinema Studio. So yeah.
Yeah. And let me just jump in quickly because Logan has a very interesting story. So back when I was a student at the University of Montreal, we've organized a hackathon basically. And Logan at this time only had a master's in biology, and he decided to come and learn to code during during the hackathon for the 24 hours. And this is basically what changed his life. Now he's fully computational. He doesn't do biology anymore.
Yeah.
Yes. Then we have Walter.
Walter, yes.
Yeah, I was just saying because more interested than ours, I think it's difficult, right? Because I rented the apartment that they were like renting before, and that's how we met. And basically, he invited me to the project, and I accepted. So it's the most random thing ever. And I'm also a computer science bachelor, and I work with.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And basically everything I did was web development and software engineering. But then my thesis on computer science was using graph databases and like multi-model databases too. So, you know, fast crossing again.
Yes. So and Walter's background is really backend development, but he generously accepted to switch just for the project. He worked a lot on the front end. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because working on the industry too, like you see a lot of things, and the new frameworks for front end that help you like build the graphs that we need like are super popular. So, and in my company we use Vue.js, which is the one that we chose to use there. So.
All right, and then there's me. So I've been working with Tanit on this project, I think, for what, 5 years now, something like that. So I did a bit of biology. Too much time. I did a bit of biology. I did a bit of bioinformatic analysis. I'm not as well versed in the bioinformatics and informatics as the rest of the team, but I'm doing the biology part. I read a lot of paper for this project. So my role is really on the research side and writing, and I also translated a bit of the text for the website. So that was my contribution for the website. And the watercolor. I did the watercolor as well.
Walter also translated the website into Portuguese also, because we decided to have from the beginning a project that, because it's a world pandemic, I mean, it's for everybody. So we tried to translate into as many languages as we can. And we, at the moment, we have 4 languages. It's English, French, Portuguese, and Spanish.
Yeah, and thanks to Roger Palou, who translated into Spanish.
Into Spanish, yes.
Special mention.
Yes, that's it. And as Eric said, what's really interesting about the team is that we really have like a very, like it's a broad spectrum. Like most of the team already had worked with biological data, but not all the team. And Mode is really more on the biology side, because we obviously we need someone who understands the biology. So yeah, so it's that's really nice. And from my part, well, I did my PhD at the IRIC, and worked on CAMAP during my PhD. And now I'm doing something completely different. I'm working on single cell genomics, but when the pandemic happened, I was like, okay, what we had this network. Could it be possible that this network that we've developed could help? And so basically, this is how the idea started.
Very nice. I might have one. Oops, you can go, Barbara.
Yes, I did a formation during the COVID-19 confinement. I don't know how to tell it in English, but And one woman said that, like for her, what was important was to do what she likes with the person that she likes.
Mm-hmm.
And because this formation was about ambition. I think this is kind of what you represent, because
Mm-hmm.
you have a project that you think it's important, and then you gather like people that you know that you can work with them for their personality, but also for their competencies.
Yes.
I'm sorry for my English.
No, I would argue that if you don't, I would say that it's important to appreciate the people you work with, but it's not enough. It's a special kind of, honestly, there's a lot of people I would like to have a beer with, but I would not be able to work with. It's more than just being
Liking.
friends. It takes a next level of understanding each other, and yeah.
Yes.
It was
Easy
one
to
of the.
find.
Sorry, yeah.
No,
So
go
it
ahead.
was really one of the big, strong point of our team is that I think we have all worked before together through VARIC mostly. And we knew that we had the same kind of approach, the same kind of problem solving strategies. And I think we all trust each other in terms of our competences. And so it was wonderful to see how everybody was working like so efficiently, and everybody was like, okay, this I can do, this I can do, this I think we should do this, and it was beautiful. It was really beautiful.
That was really nice. Yeah, the Slack feed was like constant messages of problem solving.
And everybody was proactive, so that makes a big difference. So I guess one advice I would give people is when you meet someone that you know that you work well with and that they're competent, keep them close to you. Become friends with them. It's really fun to be working with people that know what they're doing and that are proactive and that are in a problem-solving mindset. I was proud to be part of that team because of that. It was really nice.
So would you recommend to have already worked with someone before to do that kind of initiative?
Well, because it was a part-time initiative, I would say I think it was especially important because, as Tarek mentioned, we all have full-time jobs, and this is only like in the evening and the weekend that we have time to do that. So I think for that type of project where it's really voluntary and all that, yes, I think it would be important. I say that, but we worked with Walter for the first time, and well, you had worked with Jörg as well.
I had worked with Jörg before. Yes.
So I think for that kind of project, it's important, and it's also important to respect what people are ready to give. So again, it was really on a voluntary basis. So we did not want to impose on anybody, like you have to do this or whatever. It was really on okay, can you do it? If you don't, if you can't, it's okay. That's why we had redundancy on the team as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it was a great experience, definitely.
Yes, that's why redundancy is important, because you're working part-time. So some of us have kids, some of everyone has to deal with the specific situation. So it allows us to juggle the workload easier.
Yeah, and it put less pressure on people as well. So I think that was important. I think, Caroline, you had a question?
Yes, I had a question regarding your worldwide approach, which is very, very nice and very impressive, actually. So what's the difference in sharing this kind of work and sharing works that you're doing in the academic side, where we know it's publication, that you share your work through publication, but how did you guys do it?
You want to take this one?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Actually, this was really a discovery for us. We come from the academic side, so you have to go. Usually, you ask for grants, then you get the money, then you start working, then you write the paper, then you submit the paper. It takes months or years. So we decided to find to try a new way of approaching basically the dissemination of scientific work, for lack of a better word. And so the idea was to leverage the technology that already exists. So we know that we can submit preprint. This is what we did for the paper. So the paper is on bioRxiv. So we didn't wait for the peer review process. We did what everybody did during the COVID epidemic. We just we put it on bioRxiv. And then we tried to leverage to the max the technology that's already available. So there's a wealth of technology that has been developed that's all open source. ArangoDB is open source. Vue.js is open source. All these technologies are open source, and they can really empower you to really create these portals, and so people can really start accessing your data very quickly. And the other thing that we did is we worked on the communication side. We didn't go as much on the academic communication, but we went more on general public communication. And so that was also a first for us, which was very interesting. We worked very closely with the communication team at ArangoDB also for the press release. They did an amazing job.
Fantastic job.
They did an incredible job.
I mean, we are like super grateful because their press release actually got published. I think it was like 25 times. Including the Market Business Insider and the VentureBeat articles, which are like two big business publications. So we're super grateful to ArangoDB for their help with that. Yes. It was crucial.
And that was that was part of the work that I had not. It's like I had underestimated the workload for communication actually, because this is something that I have never had to do before, and
a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, Yeah. So I mean, answering emails, seeing people, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. We try to leverage everything we could, and it's actually like I was surprised at how much work that is.
Definitely. Now you understand why there's a communication team in a lot of institutions, because it is a lot of work.
That's the access that's missing. We were missing the communication access. So we had to figure out a way to make it work. But yeah, and the thing is that by going after the general public media, we were able to raise awareness about what we were doing much faster than if we went to the academic side. Not to say that the academic side doesn't make a sense. It's actually very, very important to do both, I think. And now that the website is online, that the data, people can read the paper, people can download the data. We're obviously working on a peer review publication.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you. We might have time for one last question from the audience. Is there anyone having a question that they might want to ask? If not, then we might jump to the surprise.
The what?
The surprise.
Oh,
do you have a surprise?
Yes, I do have surprises. Yeah, but can I ask a few questions to the team? Do we have time for that? So Jörg is very senior, so he's the head of machine learning and artificial machine learning and engineering at ArangoDB. So and he has also a very an extensive experience working with open source software. So my question for Jörg is, what role do you think open source software can play for the common good?
So I believe, especially with COVID-19, which is kind of like a worldwide problem, which we all face together, I believe kind of open source is a really good answer to that, because we can also all work on that together. So also all kind of like trace and track the code. So I feel it's not just a collaboration side, but also just the visibility side and being able to check certain things. So for example, here in Germany, I'm currently stuck in Germany. Usually I'm kind of like 50% in SF, 50% in Germany. but here in Germany, we currently have this debate about the tracking apps for whether you encountered someone close by being infected. And this has all been done in open source. So anyone who's concerned about data privacy can actually check the code and make sure what happens with the data. And I feel this is kind of an important thing as well. And as said, secondly, that we, as we did here in the project, work across different continents on solving also an issue or a challenge which is facing us across multiple continents.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I think I completely agree with you. It's really great for privacy. It's really great for you really like. I feel like we can work much faster with the open source paradigm when there's a big problems we need to solve. Yeah.
And
so,
that being out there, like the next time something similar comes along, we already have like some starting point for everyone to just pick up and continue from there.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, thank you. I don't remember the order actually, so I would say Walter. So Walter.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Ah, okay. Is there anything you would do differently?
I would first. Can you hear me? I just switched. Phone.
Yes.
Okay. I would study better the domain because, like, I worked with different domains in the past, and biology was never one of them. So I would study more to be, like, to understand more other parts of the project rather than letting them be the client and be working on it. But we all have to work on our strengths too. So it was like, give or take, it was like a good balance.
Okay.
We can give you a course if you want.
Maud can give you.
You too.
She's better on the biology than me. Yeah. So Antoine, what did you learn anything new in this project?
Yes, quite a few things. Well, very technically, first how to deploy a Python API and then how to expose the website to the world, basically, because in my day-to-day job, the software and data I publish or I distribute like touches, I guess, roughly 50 people in the company. Now, deploying something to the world was, even if it was dedicated to us, I mean, we're not reaching out to everybody. It's still a specialized website, right? You need to have use of Epitopes data, but still it was open to the world and it was scary. When we deployed it, the day we deployed it at the May 5th at 5 p.m., when I clicked on this button to deploy the website, I was scared.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Okay.
About the course for Epitopes.world, we should just collaborate with Josh on that, or it could be the next course.
Yes. Yes, that's a great idea. Yeah. Josh, do you have do you have time for the surprise?
Oh, I'd love to have a surprise.
Okay. How much time do you have on our hands?
I mean, how long does the surprise gonna take?
We can jump to the surprise, and then if we have more questions,
Yes.
then maybe afterwards, so
yeah.
people that want to see the surprise can see it.
Exactly. You're right. So let's do interlude.
Yeah.
So this is the surprise.
Oh, I love it.
You know it?
I mean, tell me about it.
It's a dulcimer.
That's what it looks like.
But yeah, it's exactly a dulcimer, but it's I mean, but it's a mix between a dulcimer and a drumstick, basically.
Yeah.
So it's diatonic. You
Yeah.
can't make any wrong. You can't play any wrong notes.
Yeah.
And
perfect.
what I really like about it, it's what I really like about this instrument is it first, like the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, this looks very interesting. It looks like something for kids, but it's actually a very, very, very nice thing to have.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I can show you a little bit.
Let's see.
Yeah, of course. So first concert on Zoom. So, live. I never did that before. Okay. All thanks to Barbara.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's cool. Thank you.
That's amazing. Oh, I love it. So cool.
It's really nice. Yeah. I love it. It's a really nice instrument. Sorry, it's a little bit out of tune, but I've been battling with, it's very hot. So
Yeah.
I've been like trying to tune it every
beautiful.
5 minutes.
And there is not so many chords.
Then
There's 4.
there's only, technically there's 4, but also technically there's only 3 because this one is double.
Oh, that's
So it's
perfect.
really, it's very easy. It's A, it's D, A, D, A, D. So
Can't go wrong with that. I love it.
yeah, thank you.
I
So,
love it.
well,
It's
so-
made by Seagull.
Yeah, it's made by Seagull. It's a Godin brand, and it's actually made in Canada. So it's a
wow.
Canadian instrument.
I love it.
And
Thank
just
you.
a quick mention, actually, Josh, I would like to thank you because you helped me personally during my PG, and you're still helping me with my work. So thank you for
Wow.
your videos.
Oh,
Nice,
thanks.
eh?
Yeah,
Right.
I can attest that you make really great videos.
Yeah, I've used them. Like they've been useful to me, so that's good.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
great. Oh, bam.
The world is small sometimes, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is. So I hope you like the surprise.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. It means a lot to me. It really means a lot to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks a lot for all you're doing for people on the internet, and
Oh.
yeah, I think you're really helping a lot of people.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
you do a really great job.
Making me
Yeah.
blush.
So do we
Sorry.
have any, oh, sorry, do we have any more questions from the audience or from the team itself? Or
Yeah, I still have a few questions for the remaining members of the team.
okay.
So I've compiled them. Like everyone has a specific role. So that's why I have a question for everybody. So Logan, so what did you really enjoy about being part of the team?
I think actually it's kind of funny because like I mean when you're doing something it's not necessarily easy to find the people that like that match like the things you like to do, and we ended up on this project working on something that and it seems that at some point we found ourselves into it. We all have like different things we are working in, but at the end we're all kind of makers. We like to do side projects. We're always keeping busy. We're always trying to, test new things and try to challenge ourselves. And I think this is what binds us in this project, and maybe some of us we may be doing together as well. And I think that's one of the most important things. You always need to find people that are sharing the things you like to do, because at the end of the day, it's just about all surrounded. What are the people that are surrounding you? that will eventually like bring you new opportunities to work on. So I think this is something important, and this is something I enjoy in our team. I mean, we've already been working together on the project with Antoine and you. So yeah, it's just about that, man. Like having the groove and making it like last as long as possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Olivier, then.
Yes.
I have a cheat sheet.
I have a cheat sheet too, and I'm at line number 8 or 5, line 5.
Yeah, so what, like if you had to give advices, what would be the 3 advices that you would give?
Great, that was that's the question I was expecting. That's I mean, it's a surprise. Yeah, that's a good one, and I think it was something that we all agreed really at the beginning. We wanted to work fast and bring something like ship to market early. Mm-hmm. And I will quote Reid Hoffman. He said, "If you're not embarrassed by your product, you launched too late." And that's something we have to keep in mind, because we, as humans, we want to ship or show the stuff we made once it's perfect, but quite often it's too late. You should always ship a little bit early, make some errors, click on very scary buttons, and just fix the issues later. But shipping early is a good thing.
Yeah. Thank you. Maud.
Oh.
The last one. Yeah. So what's the biggest challenge you had to overcome?
I think the hard one for me.
Sorry.
Actually, it's gonna sound a little bit weird, but I guess there was not that much like huge challenges for me, because we had built such a strong team built on our competences, that everybody was doing what they are most comfortable doing, and we worked well together. So I guess because of that, there was not a lot of challenge as such. I guess what you said earlier about the communication, that was one of our challenge. I tried to help Tarek as much as I could in reviewing and composing and writing the different communications that we sent to the world through the social media and all that, review the text and all that. But yeah, I guess if I had something to say about the biggest challenge, would be the managing the full-time job plus this. But otherwise, I mean, everything went so smoothly that it was not that bad. Like, it was not so bad.
I'll just add to that, Maud, if you're done, that regarding that specific question, I think it's very interesting, the timing of it all. So we were all struggling to find a new environment to work with, but at the same time, we felt like we've lost control. And to me, at least, this was a way to sort of maybe have the illusion of having a sort of control on the situation, working on something that could potentially be the solution to the problem I'm facing. So I think that was cool. And that was part of the challenge, but also part of what kept us going.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big motivating force for all of us, that everything is kind of, we don't know, ambiguous. We don't know what's going to happen with this virus thing. So at least let's try to put our strength together in a solution towards solving this problem. So we all knew from the beginning that this is a long process, but at least we had the feeling that we were participating and building a solution. So that was really good.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Yeah, I think. Well, so I think only Albert is the last one.
I think you didn't have enough questions for everybody.
That's okay. I participated in the questions.
I have questions for everybody. So Albert, we as you said, we've been working on the Kama project for a very long time together, perhaps too long. So the idea. So my question is, what is, in your opinion, what is the defining feature that allowed us to start from something that we already built, that we already had? Because it's not just an easy thing to do, because usually, I mean, programs are not always easy to install. There's always some kind of hurdle. You've written scripts, you don't know how to use them anymore, and things like that. So, in your opinion, what was the thing that allowed us to start from CAMAP directly to Epitopes?
So I think what we had was already something that was working, that was cool, and the biggest thing was the added value of it all that helped us keep getting interested and help sell the thing to people that were maybe not particularly well versed in immunology or machine learning. And that sort of comes back to what Josh has said in his presentation, where you should find the thing that people usually miss. And I think that CAMAP did a pretty good job regarding that, where it sort of looked in a place that people wouldn't necessarily want to look in, and not just that, but it took it to another level, so it could take from it the most that it could take. And that is the maybe the science behind it, but also the fact that we were so close to wrapping up the project was just perfect timing. That was just amazing.
Okay. And well, I have a follow-up question for you. So that's related to your work as a bioinformatician. What's in your opinion, how do you, if you had one advice to give to people that just start programming, and about like what advice would you give people so they can write code that they can reuse after for other projects?
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting, because when you're certainly when you have a job where you want to sort of help people do something, and then you get some questions that you don't really know the answer of, and you research them and stuff like this. I think it's very cool to sort of document the whole thing, so you can go all the way and make videos of it. But I think you could also maybe keep notes to yourself, write blog articles, so that can be reused. In terms of code, I think it becomes sort of a reflex that you keep in mind when you're writing code. If you want to do it in a modular way, some way that you see how it can be plugged or used in different contexts. Regarding the question about how would you go about it if you're a beginner, I think the only answer would be not to be afraid, right? So if you haven't coded ever in your life, then just find small problems, then just go all the way up.
Okay. Thank you. And I realized that I made a mistake. I didn't say the name of this thing. It's called Merlin. So like Merlin the Enchanter. It's the same name. So if anyone is interested in buying this thing, now you can find it on Google. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you. Big thank you for all those questions in your presentation. Very enlightful. So again, thank you.